the board has been set. As I can see, I'm audible to you all. You can see me here. The board is quite clear. So, very good evening to all of you. And today we're going to deal with the part 2 of the lecture. Part 1 we already have done. We are dealing with some theories. Now we are going to deal with the writers, books, what are the important topics for you, and what are the most important post-colonial literature or the books, right? The important books. First thing we are going to deal is post-colonial analysis of Tempest. Now, do you know that post-colonial analysis of Tempest is one of the latest study? Tempest is mentioned in the syllabus of UPSC. Tempest is mentioned in the syllabus of UPSC. Tempest has been written by William Shakespeare. So let's get back to this. Now, William Shakespeare, born 1564, died 1666, 1616, 1616, wrote tragedies and comedies. But one of his comedy, Tempest, it is believed to be written and performed by 1611, and also believed that Tempest was actually based on a real life incident, a real ship drowning, real accident in the sea. That is the main story, right? Shakespeare must have been inspired from this thing. Shakespeare must have been inspired from the real accident, a ship drowned in the sea. Now, this is the basic thing. Those who are preparing for the exams, competitive exams, you must be knowing that Tempest is also one of the Shakespeare's play that follows three unities. Three unities, the great Greek unities, Shakespeare's Tempest follows it. Now, when you read Shakespeare's Tempest, you find it out that Tempest is a comedy. Tempest deals with Ferdinand, Miranda, then Trinculo, Gonzalo, Caliban, Sycorax, Prospero. These are the people there. But when you go for the post-colonial study of Tempest, the basic story is that a brother has cheated another brother and the brother has captured another brother's kingdom. Simple story. One brother cheated another brother, took his kingdom. Another brother left and went away. There he became a magician. He used his powers and takes revenge from his brother and later pardons him. But that's the basic story. That's the basic comedy. When you go for post-colonial narrative, first thing, Prospero has been cheated by his brother and Prospero leaves his country. So Prospero leaves his country and goes away. The first post-colonial reference comes sailing. He sails to east. Again a post-colonial reference that the western colonizers came from west to east. So sailing to east is a post-colonial reference. Now, Prospero reaches on an island. That island is a different land for him, right? When he reaches to the island, he finds that island is already in the control of a witch. Why is calling him a witch? Why the witch, the lady has been called a witch? Because she was different. She was the other. She was not a white lady. So maybe she is an African woman. They are just calling her witch because she looks different, not white. Now, Prospero starts learning from Sycorax. He's learning from Sycorax, and when he learns a lot of magic and becomes capable of defeating Sycorax, Prospero becomes the head of the island. Now, when Prospero becomes the head of the island, there is one more native of the island, Caliban. Prospero enslaves him. Again, slavery concept, post-colonial, right? Now, Prospero is an outsider, comes to the island, uses the resources of the island and becomes the owner of the island. Again, the part of post-colonials. The Britishers came from outside, used Indian resources and then started ruling India. Now, we have some other characters here. When Prospero starts controlling Caliban, he starts teaching him a language. Now, teaching the language of colonizer to the colonized. So, Caliban, as he is being taught English language, this is language politics of post-colonials, teaching the language of colonizer to others, just like the Britishers taught us their language, Butler English, Babu English. Now Caliban abuses Prospero in English. So Caliban knows English language now. Who taught English to Caliban? Prospero. Now he knows English, so he abuses Prospero. He says, "My master, thou hast taught me a tongue, and now I know how to curse you." Now, Caliban, Prospero, and Miranda. These three people are living on that island. Miranda is a beautiful girl and has never seen any human being. Caliban thinks that he is the only male option for Miranda. So he will be able to marry her because Miranda has not seen any other man and he will be able to marry. But soon he realizes that Miranda is a white woman. Sorry. Miranda is a white woman, superior, and he is maybe a black or tribal inferior. So when he finds out that he is inferior, she is superior, and there will be no marriage, he tries to rape Miranda. When he tries to rape Miranda, Prospero comes and saves Miranda. When Prospero wants to punish Caliban and he wants to torture and kill Caliban, Miranda says no. Miranda saves Caliban. But why? On humanitarian grounds? Because she was emotional? No. She says, Father, he makes fire for us. He makes food for us. He brings words. He arranges our bed. Don't kill him. एक ही नौकर है. She says, पापा एक ही नौकर है, मत मार देना इसको. ये हमारे लिए खाना बनाता है, आग जलाता है, खाना लाता है, लकड़ियां लाता है, बेड वगैरह बनाता है. Don't kill because they want a slave. The superiority makes them have the authoritative stage. This is the reference in post-colonials. When Caliban meets Trinculo, Caliban promises Trinculo that if Trinculo helps him to be freed, Caliban will show him all the minerals. This is called Caliban complex. To get rid of one colonizer, Prospero, he is seeking the help of another colonizer. Now, Trinculo says, look at the beast. Trinculo क्या बोलता है Caliban को देख के? Look at the beast. And he says, we will take this beast to England, dead or alive. हम इस beast को England लेके जाएंगे, dead or alive. He says that this beast, this is called racial segregation, color segregation. Trinculo calls him a beast and says that this beast we will take to England, dead or alive, and we will use Caliban in the freak shows. This is the question of exam. What is freak shows? So freak shows was very much popular in the Elizabethan age. These are the references: the color issue, the racial inequality, the exotic otherness, identity crisis, slavery, colonization, language politics. So when you read Tempest, apply these things and you'll find out that all these things will tell you this thing that Tempest is one of the finest example of postcolonial studies. The other book that's very important for us is House of Mr. Vishwas, written by V.S. Naipaul. Have you ever wondered what makes this book really important? What happens when you are from this country and you live in this country? You are from India and you live in England or America. What happens? You will say identity crisis, dislocation, cultural gap, cultural shock. Yes, these kind of things happen. What if you are not in this country, you are not in that country, and you live here in third country, Trinidad, the Caribbean country. So V.S. Naipaul is a Trinidadian writer, a Caribbean writer with his family roots in India. So here you had one-to-one culture issue. Here, Indians living in Trinidad under the control of Britain. Indians, first culture they have left, they are living in second culture under the domination of the third culture. So this is purely post-colonial work. The Indians who are living in Trinidad, and Trinidad was totally dominated by England. This is the reason that it has three culture, cultural shocks, dislocation of culture, plus cultural gap. Do you know in V.S. Naipaul's House of Mr. Vishwas, Hindi language has been called a secret language. Hindi language has been called a secret language. Well, the basic story is about Mohan Vishwas, who is based on V.S. Naipaul's own father. When he was born, some soothsayer said that he will be causing death of his father. That actually happens. Then Mohan Vishwas is in another country. There he finds a girl. He starts flirting with the girl, but the girl thinks that maybe he's an Indian boy. He loves me. She informs her family members and then results in marriage. Mohan Vishwas has to live in big Hanuman house, living with the dominating Tulsi family. The in-laws are dominating. Mohan Vishwas realizes this thing that to have his ethnicity, to have his identity, because he is no more from India, he is in a culture colonized by another culture, living in a different culture colonized by another culture. He wants a house of his own, and here Mohan Vishwas starts dreaming, imagining about a house of Mr. Vishwas. House becomes the symbol of identity. Read this thing, as this is a lecture where I have to teach many books, so I'm going to deal with the important factors only. Read the books. Use Spark Notes. Spark Notes are good. Passage to India, 1924, E.M. Foster. So, one of the greatest work, many questions in exam. Passage to India, 1924, E.M. Foster is again another post-colonial work as you have written it. So, let's go for the details of the book. This is dealing with some Indian characters and some foreign characters. Dr. Aziz, most important person. Then a white man, Mr. Fielding. They are friends. Dr. Aziz and Mr. Fielding are friends. Dr. Aziz is very much, he's a good man, a good Muslim, a doctor, enthusiast. He wants to meet good people. He wants to talk to the Europeans, and he thinks that Europeans are not that bad as people say. And maybe it is just an illusion that Europeans are bad. So he has formed friendship with Mr. Fielding. Through Mr. Fielding, Dr. Aziz comes in contact of Mrs. Moore. Mrs. Moore is a good woman, cultured woman. There are scenes like this that it is midnight. Mrs. Moore is in the mosque. Dr. Aziz says that please drop your slippers outside. She says she has already done that. This wins his heart. Then Mr. Aziz questions that what are you doing here? You're a white woman. What are you doing in this mosque in the midnight? She says God is here. I am safe. Mrs. Moore is again showing the good side of Europeans. Mr. Fielding is showing the good side of European. Dr. Aziz is fascinated with Europeans. With Mrs. Moore, Dr. Aziz also comes in contact of Adela Quest, the heroine of the book. Adela Quest. Now, they have formed a group. They are all together. They are sharing their learnings, knowledge with each other. Dr. Aziz is a good man. All of them, they are good people. We have one professor, Professor Godbole. Professor Godbole is somebody who is not fascinated with Europeans and is very much practical. He knows this thing that the Europeans are Europeans and we are we. East is East and West is West. Things are going good. Adela Quest, her surname Quest is showing the quest of India. She wants to see India. Now what happens? In a scenario, Dr. Aziz, Mrs. Moore, Adela Quest, they go to visit the caves, and in the caves, the echo sound of boom boom, the echo sound of boom boom scares Adela Quest. Adela Quest gets scared. वो डर जाती है. When she runs, she falls and gets injured, where she is saved by another white woman, and they take her uh, to the hospital. They try to talk, and and she's scared, nervous, not able to recall what has happened, and they repeatedly say that did Dr. Aziz try to molest you? And somehow she gives her nod. She says yes, somehow. And all of a sudden, Dr. Aziz is taken in the custody. Dr. Aziz is taken in the custody. The lawyers, the white people, all of a sudden, they are all different people. Nobody comes to rescue. Nobody trusts him. His personal letters written to his wife, because he was separated from his wife, they are written and they are read in the court. Dr. Aziz's reputation is tarnished, questioned, and when there is just one woman who can tell the truth that what exactly happened, that woman is Mrs. Moore. But Mrs. Moore's nephew, he is the judge, he has already sent her away. The lawyer says, I want Mrs. Moore. So the lawyer says, I want Mrs. Moore. Indian lawyer says, Mrs. Moore is not there. So he again shouts, Mrs. Moore. This Mrs. Moore, there are so many other Indian people, they are watching this court proceeding. They also repeated Mrs. Moore. The Indians are in the corridors, Indians are in the yards, thousands of Indians are there to know what is happening, and all they hear is S more, and they again repeat the line S more, S more, without knowing what is that. That is the post-colonial reference. It's a question of exam. What is S more, S more? Mrs. More. But there are thousands of people. So they don't know what exactly going on. All they know is that when somebody is saying S more, I must support it. This is called ethnicity. They don't know what's happening or they don't know what is Mrs. More. But they are there to give their solidarity, prove their support that yes, we are with you. This must have happened in college elections when one person says student union and we all are like that, okay, Jindabad. Sometimes we don't know the reason behind that, but we are like, no, we are all together. We don't care what is the issue, but we are with the students. Just like that, the ethnicity, the Indian ethnicity comes in support of this thing. Well, finally, Adela comes, tells the truth, and the heart of Dr. Aziz is broken. He says, there's a line. Dr. Aziz says, my personal letters were read in the court just because a white lady had a doubt. A white lady had a doubt, and my personal letters were read in the court. Now, after the court proceeding and other things, Mr. Fielding meets Aziz and says, hello, Dr. Aziz. We are still friends. We are still friends. Dr. Aziz replies, question of your exam. This is the question of your exam. Dr. Aziz replies this thing that, no, my dear, not here. Not under that sky. Not under that sky. This is the last line of Passage to India. No, my dear, not under that sky. No, हम दोस्त नहीं हैं. Not under that sky means the colonization. You are superior, we are inferior. We cannot be friends because you have that mindset that we are different. So no, we can't be friends. Earlier he used to feel that they are friends, but now he has understood that there is no friendship between the ruler and the ruled one, the colonizer and the colonized one. Make sure you read that. It's very important. It's a classic. Then we have Rudyard Kipling's important poetries. So first thing that you have to remember is White Man's Burden. White Man's Burden, Rudyard Kipling says that it is the duty of the white man to colonize you, to control you, to make you civilized. He says white people are the educated people, they have better literacy. So when we are colonizing you, controlling you, we are actually making you better. We want you to be good, we want you to be better. That also deals with the theory of ambivalence. So make sure you remember this. Ambivalence theory. Then another thing that you have to remember related to Rudyard Kipling is he simply says the ballad of East and West. Ballad of East and West, where he says, where there is a beautiful line, the ballad of East and West. He says, East is East, East is East, West is West, and twain shall never meet. In the ballad of East and West, he says, East is East, West is West, and twain shall never meet. East is East, West is West, and they both can never meet. They should never meet. So this is how you have to read Rudyard Kipling, imperialistic writer. His works are also dealing with post-colonial narratives. Then the next one we have is Seasons of Migration to the North. This is written by Tayyib Saleh, a famous writer from Sudan. The name of the country is Sudan. Now, see this thing in Seasons of Migration to the North. Why do you have to read? This is the latest work. It has a reference of Othello. So here we have a hero, and he's fascinated with the Western country. Mustafa is the name of the hero. Mustafa goes to Western country. There he's fascinated that okay, I will live there, I will be respected. Soon he returns and realizes that no, in Western countries there are still others and they're not considered. He thinks he's like Othello. Othello was loved by a white woman. Othello was praised for his talent. Othello was made a commander for being a warrior. So he thinks like I am Othello and I will be respected, regarded for my hard work, for my capabilities. But then this not happens. He returns with a line. He says, "I am a lie. I am not Othello. Othello was a lie." The lines are, I am a lie, I am not Othello, Othello was a lie. So this is the famous line, Seasons of Migration to the North, Tayyab Sali. Read it from Spark Notes. Then the next one we have is Brick Lane, written by Monica Ali. In my last lecture also I have talked about this thing, so make sure you read that. Brick Lane, Monica Ali, very important work. Simply the character of Nazneen, Shanu, Hasina, especially Nazneen and Shanu's marriage, identity crisis, cultural shock, dislocation of culture. These points are very, very important. So read Brick Lane by Monica Ali, how the Bangladeshi girl gets married to Shanu, transported to another country in London, how she lives there. That's very important point. Then we have My Son, the Fanatic. This is written by Hanif Qureshi, Pakistani British writer. Hanif Qureshi, Pakistani British writer. Pakistani British writer. Now, Hanif Qureshi is Pakistani British writer. My Son the Fanatic is the story of, if you have written it, Hanif Qureshi, Pakistani British writer, also the part of Pakistani diaspora. For my own preparations, I have read diaspora of many countries. So, My Son the Fanatic is the story of two people, Pakistani, two Pakistani people, the son and the father. Both are Pakistani Muslims living in London. Father has adopted the Western culture. He lives like people who live in England, drinks, drugs, prostitutes, visiting them. Father has totally changed, but son is still a good man. Son is following Islam, following religion, a good man, doing his duty, living in a decent way. They live together. Father wants his son to become like him, but son doesn't care. One day, father is with some female friend, some prostitute, and they are in the car where the son doesn't greet that lady. Father thinks it is an insult of the lady. The son doesn't like it, so but he doesn't greet. Father thinks it's an insult to the lady and he starts beating him. While beating him, son doesn't react. Father keeps on beating him hysterically. He gets mad and keeps on beating him and says, "You are fanatic, you are fanatic." Finally, the son questions, "Now, who is fanatic?" Why the father became violent? Why father was beating his son? His son was a mirror to him, a mirror. Both came from Pakistan. One lost his cultural value, religious value, but the mirror was his son. His son was always reminding him of his guilt. He wanted to get rid of that guilt. That's why the father wanted son to be like him. But son was never changing. He was not changing. So father beats him because he has his own guilt. He's suffering from that guilt. So this is also a very important work. And remember these things, normally nobody knows these works. So make sure you read that. These are the things which are going to be the part of your classes, or of your paper. What the Body Remembers by Shauna Singh Baldwin. Once I tried to invite her in my class, but unfortunately, she demanded a flight ticket from USA. And when I checked the flight tickets, so they were like 1.5 lakh from one side, 1.5 lakh from another side, 3 lakhs. So obviously we teachers have no money like that. We do not have that much money. So I couldn't invite her. She has written a beautiful work, What the Body Remembers. Here we have a character Sardarji. A character Sardarji. Sardarji wants his wife to dress up like Western women, wants his wife to behave like Western women, and he hates India. He hates anybody who has Indian styles or behaving desi. He doesn't want desi people around because he wants to be one of them. This is called Anglophilia. Anglophilia, when you are fascinated with English or England. So Sardarji is an important character. इसको भी पढ़ लो, अच्छी कहानी है, it's a readable story. Why I'm telling you these points? Because they are the post-colonial points, right? Then the next one we have is Anita and Me. In the 1970s of England, England was having hippie culture, just like America. So here we have a girl, and what happens when they question the girl is a young girl, 16 or 17-year-old. So normally what happens when the Indian families, when you go to meet your friends and they have kids, so we have a normal question. Beta, what do you want to be in your life? Do you want to be a doctor, a policeman, a software engineer? What do you want to be? When anyone comes here and questions the girl Anita, her answer is, I want to be a blonde. I want to be a blonde. I want to have white skin, golden hair. I want to look like foreigners. Just like Piccola in Bluest Eye. She wanted to have blue eyes. So why a girl says that, no, I don't want to be a doctor or something like, I want to be a white girl. These are the post-colonial references where one identity has become inferior, another is superior. Then we have another important work that you have to read by Jhumpa Lahiri. Jhumpa Lahiri. Famous work, Namesake. Jhumpa Lahiri, real name Nilanjana Sudeshna. Namesake, we have important character Nikhil Gogol. There are a lot of post-colonial works which are very important. Read this because in this work, Nikhil Gogol is an Indian character who lives in America. His name Gogol is a reference of Russian writer Nikolai Gogol. Reference from Russian writer Nikolai Gogol. That's very important thing. Deals with cultural gap. Also deals with identity crisis where Nikhil is not able to accept the name Gogol. He doesn't like it. Then the father Ashok tells him the reality that why he has named him Gogol, Ashok and Ashima from West Bengal, living in America, having a son Nikhil Gogol. These are the works which are post-colonial works and you must read. Now, before I sum up this video and end, there are some suggestions what you must read. So make sure you read Kiran Desai, as I have repeatedly told you, Inheritance of Loss. That's very important. You have to read. Then Arundhati Roy. I have repeatedly told you, The God of Small Things. Please read these things so that it can help you in exam. In my next lecture, I'll be dealing with the Afro-American writer and other post-colonial writers. Stay tuned. Test series has been made available. 1000 plus 300 exclusive questions. 1300 questions available for all of you. To get this test series, all you have to do is either check our social media platforms or WhatsApp us on, you know my number. This is a private live, so you know the number 8810289637. Thank you so much. I hope you have got new topics, new learnings. Last time आ गया एग्जाम का, so revise करते रहो, revision पे time लगाओ, efforts लगाओ, and don't be in the company of negative people. If anyone teaches you, tells you that you can't do that thing, you can't do something, the first thing that you have to do is leave that company. कोई कुछ कहता है कि तुम ये नहीं कर सकते हो, सबसे पहले वो कंपनी छोड़ दो, क्योंकि उसके साथ रहो जो कहेगा कि yes we can do it, let's try. With this message, thank you so much.